Hi, this is Dr. Gregory Sadler. I'm a professor of philosophy and the president and founder of an educational consulting company called Reason.io, where we put philosophy into practice. I've studied and taught philosophy for over 20 years, and I find that many people run into difficulties reading classic philosophical texts. Sometimes it's the way things are said or how the text is structured. But the concepts themselves are not always that complicated, and that's where I come in. To help students and lifelong learners, I've been producing longer lecture videos and posting them to YouTube. Many viewers say they find them useful. What you're currently watching is part of a new series of shorter videos, each of them focused on one core concept from an important philosophical text. I hope you find it useful as well. Musonius Rufus's lecture number 4 is sort of a follow-up but also expansion of what he was discussing in his third lecture, namely about virtue and whether men and women need virtue equally and some of the implications for what we can call, in a very broad sense, education. So it includes what we might classify as formal education, teaching and learning in the traditional sense, but it also includes how you structure somebody's life in terms of their work, their tasks, the things that we put them through. So education also includes what we might call disciplining or training. And it comes up, as some of these other lectures do, once when the question arose. So Musonius is getting asked a question whether or not sons and daughters ought to be given the same paideia, the same education. He's going to answer yes, but he's going to give you some reasons for that. So he begins by talking about the functions of different animals. And he says, trainers of horses and dogs, they don't make a distinction in the training of the male and female with these particular species. Why? Well, what's the point of the dog? So he's only going to talk about one function. The task of the dog is to hunt, right? That's its work. Obviously, dogs can do other things. And what about a horse? Well, horses have certain work as well. And we give the same training to male and female dogs or to male and female horses. So why would we give some different training to, boys who are going to be men, sons, right? And then to girls who are going to be women, daughters? We would have to be assuming that somehow this species is different. And how are we different? Well, for the Stoics, as well as for almost all of the other ancient philosophy schools or approaches, it's that we're rational animals. So is it that there's a difference between male rational animals and female rational animals? And he says, it would seem to be felt necessary by some to give some special and exceptional training and education for males over females, but this doesn't actually make sense. Why? Well, what is our function? Well, to be rational, and that means having the virtues, right? So he talks about the same virtues needed to be present in both men and women alike. And he says there isn't one set of virtues for a man and another set of virtues for a woman. And he says this should be easy to perceive. Now, a lot of people in ancient culture didn't actually perceive it that way. So this is kind of a radical doctrine on his part. He's not the only person to say this. Plato says that as well. Other Stoics before Musonius Rufus are also advocating this. And he says, each of the virtues is really going to be needed in order to be a fully rational human being. So 2 of them he's not going to talk about at great length. The first one he talks about, translated here as understanding, is actually practical wisdom or prudence, phronesis. So that's going to be needed for both men and women. Why? Because what good are foolish, that's the opposite of prudent, foolish people, right? And then he talks about justice. With justice, he does actually say, men are going to need it for this reason, women are going to need it for this reason. But that's more a matter of the culture that he's living in. And what's really common to them is that they both have, we could say, social tasks or functions. So a just man is going to be a good citizen, right? They'll be a good member of their political community. A just woman will be a good manager of her household. And if she's unjust, she'll actually wrong her husband. Presumably it would work the other way around as well. An unjust husband will wrong his wife. So, there's two of the cardinal virtues right off the bat. What about temperance? So again, the translation, a little bit unclear here because it talks about, it's recognized as right for a woman in wedlock to be chaste. It's actually it just says temperate, right? Sophron. Sophrosune is the virtue of temperance. And, he goes on and says, it's likewise for a man. A man needs to be temperate just as much as a woman does. So the law decrees the same punishment for committing adultery as for being taken in adultery. So that has to do with sex. What else does temperance bear upon? He talks about gluttony, drunkenness, so food and intoxicants, and then other related vices, the other sort of things like this, right? So if you, I suppose in the present day, just wanted to watch videos all day long or play video games, and you did that too much, maybe that falls under temperance, right? And so men and women need temperance just as much. Now we get to the one where perhaps there's a common argument against it. He says, somebody might say courage is a virtue appropriate to men only. The Greek term andreia literally means manliness. A lot of bros like to bring this up. The ancient people, virtue in certain respects, vir, it means man, and virtus. Well, okay, so Musonius says, that's all nonsense, buddy. That's not the case. A woman, he says, of the right sort is going to need courage and to be free of cowardice. Why? Because she needs to be able to do what is required, what is appropriate, not swayed by hardships, difficulties, or fear. If she doesn't, if she can be compelled to yield to something shameful by threat or force, she's not actually going to be self-controlled. And he says it's necessary for women to be able to repel attack. Other animals do this. For example, female birds fight with creatures much larger than themselves to defend their young. Why wouldn't human women do this, right? And then he says, by the way, now this is a fictional thing, at least in certain respects, but we could think of cultures in which women are pretty tough. He says, the Amazons, the legendary Amazons, show us that it's not really a matter of nature. It's not like they're different than other human beings. It's training. It's how you're brought up. And so the Amazons defeated many other tribes in war. And so he says, if something like this courage is lacking in other women, it's due to lack of use and practice, not because of any sort of natural difference. So, he says, if men and women are born with the same virtues, if these are part of our nature, quite literally, well, then men and women need the same kind of training and education. It is befitting. And this is a term that he's going to use a lot in here. It's proseken and the verb, and proseke as often translated duty, obligation, befitting. This gets used a lot of times within this particular lecture. So we can say with other plants and animals, what we need to do in order to cultivate them in the way that they should go is to give them proper care, epimeleon, or attentiveness, attention. And so we should do that with human beings. And he says, listen, if you wanted somebody to be able to play the flute, you wouldn't just hand them a flute and say, all right, go at it. You actually need to teach them, especially if they're going to earn a living through flute playing. So he says, okay, what is it we want for human beings more generally? These virtues, right? If we don't give attention to cultivating these, no surprise if people don't actually have them. So he says, to be proficient in the virtue, appropriate, once again, that term, proseiken, to a human being, to have prudence, to have temperance, courage, and justice. We have to teach them, both of them, the art by which a human being becomes good. Now he's going to tell you what that art is in a little while. No surprise, it's philosophy. But he does consider an objection. So somebody might say, wait a second, do you expect that men should learn spinning, so a household task, the same as women, and women should take part in gymnastic exercises, the same as men? They should strip down and, do the wrestling and all that sort of stuff. And Musonius says, well, no, not exactly. There could be some things where, because of the differences in our bodies in general, and it's only in general, that there could be some things that women are going to be better at and men are going to also be better at. So, the heavier tasks should be given to the stronger, lighter ones to the weaker. So spinning and indoor work could be more fitting for women than for men. Gymnastics and outdoor work could be more suitable for men. However, he says, some men might also fittingly handle certain of the lighter tasks and what is generally considered women's work. Some women could do heavier tasks which seem more appropriate for men whenever conditions of strength, need, or circumstance warranted. So you can't just make a blanket, well, that's men's work, that's women's work. It depends on the kinds of bodies and temperaments that you have. Why? So Musonius says all human tasks, everything that human beings do, are a common, koine, obligation and common for men and women. None is necessarily appointed for either one exclusively. Some pursuits are more suited to the nature of one, some to the other. But what about the things that have to do with virtue? Those are not going to be singled out, including courage, right? So there aren't men's virtues and women's virtues or anything like that. He says that the things that have reference to virtue should be taught to male and female alike straight from infancy. They ought to be taught this is right and this is wrong, and that it's the same for both alike. This is helpful, this is harmful. This is what we call moral instruction, right? One must do this, one must not do this. From this training, we develop practical wisdom in those who learn with no difference. They must be inspired with a feeling of shame towards everything that is base or ignoble, right? And he says when these two qualities have been created, both men and women are of necessity temperate or self-controlled. Children need to be trained so to endure hardship, not to fear death, not to be disheartened. That is how you develop courage, which needs to be there in men and women. Shunning selfishness, having high regard for fairness, being a human being to wish to help and to be unwilling to harm one's fellow person. This is a lesson we need to teach to both men and women in their development. So he says, if it's fitting for women to be just, both have to learn the same lessons, right? So he says about the all-important things let not one know and the other not. Let them know exactly the same things. How do we do this then? Well, philosophy. And of course, that does not necessarily mean taking a philosophy class in an academic institution or buying yourself a philosophy textbook or, getting videos of philosophers talking about. And then here's how we understand language. Musonius thinks philosophy needs to be practical. He says, I don't mean that women should possess technical skill and acuteness in argument. It would be superfluous because they will use philosophy for the ends of their life as women. However, this is also the case for men too. Even in men, I don't prize this accomplishment highly. I urge that they should acquire from philosophy goodness in conduct and nobility of character. And he says, hey, that's what philosophy is actually all about, training in becoming a good person. And everything else is kind of bonus or gravy. So, another set of arguments for why men and women possessing the same capacities for what makes us truly human, developing the virtues, ought to be given the same education so that they can, in fact, realize the capacities of human nature together.